Hello, this is the Aussie Arrowhand. What you are watching is part of a research stream series about Buddhism. And what we are looking at today is I'm going to this page, Glossary of Buddhism. And my challenge is to work through every entry A to Z. There are other glossaries online that I may consult and use, but I'm using this one as my anchor here. And I've recorded 2 videos now, I believe. So I've done one on the Abhidhamma. I've done one on the Garland scripture. So, and the one we are looking at today is this one, the third one, the Abhidhamma Pitaka, the third basket of the Tripitaka canon, the reorganization of all doctrines in a systematic way. That is the description on Wikipedia. And we might note that this was very similar to my first video. It is related to my first video. So what we'll find here is the link to this. This one here was originally the same link that was in this entry, the Abhidhamma. That linked to this, to the Theravada Abhidhamma. But what I learned from that first video, after much sort of fussing about, is that there's a very simple definition of Abhidhamma here. So let's go. The Abhidhamma, that means, I don't know what that means. Is it literally? It might be literally. About the Dharma, refers to a class of Buddhist texts, the first of which date from the 3rd century BCE. So that's when they started being written. Abhidhamma texts contain detailed scholastic presentations of Buddhist doctrine, including doctrines that appear in canonical Buddhist scriptures and commentaries. Abhidhamma also refers to the scholastic method itself and the knowledge, prana, I think that's how you pronounce that this method is said to study and cultivate. So, yeah. So, I spent quite a bit of time talking about this page on the last video I did on the Abhidhamma. But I learned a lot through that, and I did a bit of research on other websites, and yeah, we came to an understanding. And let's see, was it on this page where it described... No, I'm probably not going to find that here, but we'll go here. This is the Wikipedia page for the Abhidhamma. These are detailed scholastic presentations. So you can think of these as like akin to the sort of academic research done on Buddhism. These are the sort of big-brained texts where, scholars expound on the doctrines of the Buddha. And there's 3 parts to this. So if we go up to, I know where to go now. So let's have a look here. We got the Abhidhamma tradition. I think it was this word here, Tripitaka. Am I typing that properly? Yes. The Tripitaka or Tipitaka means 3 baskets in Sanskrit Pali, and refers to the vast collection of Buddhist scriptures. So good job, AI. I tend to move on to other sources, but that's a pretty good description based on my knowledge of this that I learned about last video. So let's have a look at the source there. Sacred Texts of Buddhism. That might be a good one to look at. But I think that it might have been the Buddhist canons page where I learned about this. So there are several Buddhist canons which refer to the various scriptural collections of Buddhist sacred scriptures or the various Buddhist scriptural canons. Okay, some of these collections are also called Tipitaka or Tripitaka, meaning triple basket. So, and it's a traditional term. And where that comes from, they sorted these manuscripts into baskets, like literal baskets. And the textual categories, if I go here, yeah, I'm trying to find the nice neat summary I had last time. I have lost it, but that's okay. So we've got, here we go, the suttas. Where is it? Okay. These free baskets recall the receptacles of palm leaf manuscripts and refer to three important textual divisions of early Buddhist literature: suttas, the Vinaya, and the Abhidhamma. Right, so what's this term we've got here? The Abhidhamma Pitaka, right? And it says it's the third basket of the Tripitaka canon. Okay, the third basket. All right, what are the other two? So the three baskets, we got the suttas, the Vinaya, and the Abhidhamma. So let's have a look at the suttas. And suttas from the Sutta Pitaka. Okay, that's the second. I'll just try and get this in some sort of logical order. Vinaya. I think Vinaya is first. Let's have a look at that. All right. So, yeah, I don't know if they're actually numbered, but this tends to be numbered first. This is the Vinaya. It refers to numerous monastic rules and ethical precepts for fully ordained monks and nuns of Buddhist sanghas, community of like-minded shramanas. Right. Interesting that they use that word, because I've been learning about the shramanas. And Buddhists, yeah, they are shramanas. So a shramana, if we're going back to the sort of ancient days when the Buddha was walking around the Ganges, and the main religion back then was Vedism. I think it's a precursor to Hinduism, along with Brahmanism, but Vedism. And anyone who opposed the Vedas was a shramana. Okay, there's another definition here. A shramana is a person who labours, toils, or exerts themselves for some higher or religious purpose, or a seeker or ascetic, one who performs acts of austerity. So it's kind of like this stereotype of a wandering monk who doesn't eat or drink and uses that to get closer to enlightenment or God or whatever it may be. But there's a few kind of schools that are related. We've got Jainism and Buddhism. They're the two main ones, the two that have become sort of major religions in their own right. And then we've got others such as Ajivika, Ajnana, and Kavaka. And all of these opposed the Vedas. So when they say Shramana, that is about opposing the Vedas. But if you know the Buddha's story, he was a Shramana because before he was the Buddha. He practiced extreme discipline under I believe 2 teachers, and then he found himself in a group called the 5 ascetics who practiced extreme asceticism, extreme self-denial, they did not indulge in any worldly pleasures, and it was from that he decided the middle way was best. Right, when we're talking about the middle way in Buddhism, it's this, right? It's the path of balance, avoiding the extremes of sensual indulgence and severe asceticism, epitomized by the Noble Eightfold Path. So the Buddha went too far in one direction. He went too far in the direction of, no, we should deny ourselves worldly pleasures. He found another way. It's the middle way. We look at the Wikipedia page. These are the teachings of the Buddha, and it steers clear of both extreme asceticism and sensual indulgence. So that's the first phrasing, the middle way. And it says here, the second formulation, teaching the Dharma by the middle, refers to how the Buddha's Dharma approaches ontological issues of existence and personal identity by avoiding eternalism and annihilationism. So absolutism and nihilism. So yeah, that's interesting. I'll go deeper into that at some point. I might close that one. I'm not a robot, at least as far as I know. This computer has been flagged for suspicious activity. Fabulous. I'll be sent a link by email to verify my account. Okay, I don't know what that is. I might come back to that site another time and sort out whatever that issue is. But study.com. I have used their resources before. It's not a bad site. Alright, so yeah, alright, you've got the Sutta Pitaka. So we've gone from Vinaya. This is the first basket. Or it says here, one of the main components of the canonical Buddhist canons, Tripitakas, alongside the Sutra and the Abhidhamma. Alright. The Vinaya Pitakas contain detailed prescriptions governing the behaviour, conduct and communal procedures of monks, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni. Is that? Because I've heard of a bhikkhu, so yeah. So that's something I'd like to learn more about, is why, and it's possible that's in a different language to that, different, I guess you call them transliterations. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, the term I'm familiar with is bhikkhu, which is an ordained male in Buddhist monasticism. It's a monk. Right, this is all about monks. The Vinaya is all about monks and what they do. The Sutta Pitaka, also known as Sutra Pitaka. So this is the sutras, and you're probably familiar with the sutras. You've got the Lotus Sutra, you got the Diamond Sutra, you got the there's many sutras. So the sutras are kind of like a collection of sayings. I believe sometimes there's a bit of a narrative arc, but ultimately it's a collection of sayings that contain some sort of Buddhist lesson or lessons. So the sutras are the second of the three divisions of the Pali Tripitaka. So once again, we're thinking about these three baskets in which they put the manuscripts in. One of them was the Vinaya. Yep, so that was all the stuff to do with the rules and ethical conduct of monks and nuns. So, and I thought nuns was I thought that was a Christian term. So I don't know if they call Buddhist women in Buddhism nuns, but that's a question for me to find out. So I'm going to put that in my list of questions, actually. What are women in the Sangha formally called? So I'll put monks, nuns there just to sort of give myself a reminder. So that's one of my questions. All right, so we got the sutras. is the second of the three divisions and the definitive canonical collection of scripture of Theravada Buddhism. So let's have a look at this word scripture. When it says Buddhist texts here, so as far as I know, scripture just means religious writings. So, well, I don't really need to look that one up, but yeah, it's all the important writings that, all of the important texts, literary texts that sort of pertain to Buddhism. But here it's speaking of Theravada Buddhism. Now, what I learned about the Abhidhamma, and I think even the sutras, no, definitely not, definitely the sutras, that, yeah, all the different schools sort of interact with these. There's different canons for different schools. Theravada is going to come up a lot. It seems to be the most prominent when it comes to talking about this sort of, I guess, scholarly organisation of texts. And look, if we see here, the other two parts of the Tripitaka are the Vinaya Pitaka, basket of discipline, basket of higher doctrine. So what we got? So, all right, this is interesting. So we've got a sutta is the basket of discourse. That's the sutra. So I might put this in here. Okay. Oh, I don't want to get rid of my question. Basket of discourse. Where is it? And I'll copy the original text as well. So Vinaya Pitaka, basket of discipline, and the Abhidhamma Pitaka, basket of higher doctrine. So we've got the basket of discourse up the top there. What is it? The Sutra Pitaka. Alright. And I believe it often comes up as the second. So I think of the three baskets, there is a sort of formal sort of way of numbering them, but I don't know how much it matters. So anyway, we've got these here. We've got the three baskets. So we've got the Vinaya Pitaka, Sutra Pitaka, and the Abhidhamma Pitaka. And this is the one we're looking at today, the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Now, I went over quite a bit of this when I did my last video on the Abhidhamma. And I actually did a Wikipedia edit here. I haven't done many of these in my life, but this is one I felt was justified, where we wanted to talk about the general concept of Abhidhamma, and there was a Wikipedia page. So now that links to that, which is cool. And this page here links to the third basket, Abhidhamma Pitaka. So, and we'll go back to this page. I'm just going to close some tabs because I find I get very overwhelmed when I've got a lot open at once. We'll open this one up. And what I'm going to do is just, because I went over this in the last video, I'm just going to try and read some parts of it, search it online, find some resources, and just see what I can do to sort of expand my knowledge of this. I guess one of the questions I have is what texts are in the Abhidhamma, or the Theravada Abhidhamma, because I'm going to assume that all schools are going to sort of prioritize different texts. And yeah, so alright, so there's one of my questions. Question 1. So I'll go question 1 and I'll go question 2. Yeah, so what texts are contained in the Abhidhamma? And I think if I restrict it to Theravada, then yeah, that's going to give me a list of texts. But just asking this question might sort of explode it open a bit for me, and I might be able to find some pointers for how there are other systems of categorization in other schools. So what texts are contained in the Abhidhamma? And we've got to remember these aren't sutras. Sutras are in the second basket. They're in the basket of discourse. So what texts are contained in the Abhidhamma? And do I have a third question? There was one that I have actually. Which schools use the Abhidhamma? Yeah, okay. Which schools use the Abhidhamma? Are there schools that don't use the Abhidhamma? I think Zen Buddhism may de-emphasize it a bit in favour of meditation. But that doesn't mean there's no scholarly tradition there. So I think, yeah, I'm going to have a look at these questions and just see what I find. But also I just want to skim through here a bit. All right, so let's have a look over here. We've got background and sources, Dhamma theory, analysis of mind, space and time, conditional relations. So, all right, so if we go here, we've got background and sources, Dhamma theory, and there's a lot here. This is advanced stuff, but I'm gonna have a read through it and just see sort of the extent to which I can learn something from it. Analysis of mind gets its own section. All right, so we've got what? There's two here. Dhamma theory, analysis of mind. So Buddhism has a very strong focus on how shall we say, psychology, and yeah, and this other one, rupa, matter. So I'm assuming that's sort of, I guess, can we say, metaphysical, ontological sort of concerns. What is it? The Abhidhamma Pitaka. So in the Abhidhamma Pitaka, there is no formal definition of matter of form, and they call that rupa itself. Instead, one finds individual definitions for material dhammas which make up material existence. So, yeah, we sort of got, and I want to make sure I'm using these words right, because I'm sort of drawing on some fuzzy knowledge of philosophy that I have. So let's look up metaphysics, just to sort of tunnel down on a definition, define definition. So it deals with the first principles of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, identity, time, and space. Right, so then we got ontology. I think that's a kind of metaphysics, dealing with the nature of being. Right, so and then what are we talking about? Let's go sort of branch of philosophy which concerns itself with matter. I just want to make sure that I'm getting this accurate. Yep, it says the branch of philosophy that concerns itself with matter is metaphysics. So let's have a look here. Yeah, it's drawing from philosophy, it's drawing from metaphysics. So metaphysics is the study of the most elementary features of reality, including existence, objects and their properties, possibility and necessity, space and time, change, causation, and the relation between matter and mind. It is one of the oldest branches of philosophy. So there you go. Yeah, all right. So this seems to be metaphysical claims. So what have we got here? We've got Dhamma theory. We've got analysis of mind and rupa, matter. So let's go back to my notes here. And if I write Dhamma theory, rupa, where is rupa? Let's go rupa. And analysis of mind. Okay, so that's to do with the sort of, I don't know, what would you call this? Contents or sort of topics that it discusses. I'll go with topics. So we'll just go topics. Okay, so we've got Dhamma theory. That, I guess this is a theory on how to practice the Dhamma. So let's have a look. In the Pali Nikayas, the Buddha teaches through a method in which the experience is explained using various conceptual groupings of physical and mental processes, which are called Dhamma. Examples of lists of Dhamma taught by the Buddha in the Nikayas include the 12 sense spheres, the 5 aggregates, and the 18 elements of cognition. And here we're getting into one of the most distinctive characteristics of Buddhism, and that is Buddhism loves lists. You'll find many, many lists. You got the 5 aggregates, you got the 18 elements of cognition, you got the 5 hindrances, you got the 3 marks of existence. It goes on and on and on. And I'll look up a list sometime. I remember doing this once, a list of all the Buddhist lists, and it's extensive. And the numbers go higher and higher and higher. I think 52 is a significant number in one of them, I think. I can't remember which one that is. There it is. What is it? 52 Cetasika. The mental factors. So there's 52 mental factors. Is that right? So let's look up 52. 52. Yep. All right. So, yeah, I'm getting sidetracked there. I'll look that up in a bit. So Q4. What are the 52 mental factors? Or I might even just put, I'll put in the Cetasika. What are the 52 Cetasika? I'm going to have a look at these. And look, there's quite a lot here for me to sort of go over. And okay, I'm about half an hour into the stream. And I guess just as a side note, I've been trying to find a way to a sort of workflow for this channel. I've just been trying to get into a groove with it. And I'm finding doing these streams has been really helpful, but I've also felt the need to do some more extensive close readings of text. So I've started a series where I'm doing that too. I'm reading from the book What the Buddha Taught by Walpola Rahula. And go check that out if you haven't. And just read the book. It's a fantastic book. I've got a big list of Buddhist texts I wish to work through that way. And I think I'll be starting another series where I'm just going to do book reviews. I'm reading some Jiddu Krishnamurti at the moment, and I'm really enjoying The Problems of Living. I think that's one, and there's another text called On the Young, For the Young, which I think is fantastic. I kind of see him as modern day Buddha, someone who sort of shares that, I guess, that attitude of self-reliance and investigating things for yourself. But I've been sidetracked, so let's get back to the research. All right. So yeah, this so within this Abhidhamma, we've got, I guess, three main topics according to this Wikipedia article. We've got the Dhamma theory, we've got the analysis of mind, and we've got Rupa, which I think these roughly correlate to, how to practice the Dhamma. Although reading that, it seemed a little bit like, where are we at here? We're into the mental factors page now. Let's go to the Dhamma theory. Yeah, so it's talking about experience, how experience is explained, and I would assume that the sort of, I guess, the analysis of mind would have to do with that as well. But so Buddhism is highly interested in human psychology. So let's have a look at this analysis of mind, see if there's a difference. In early Buddhism, consciousness is a phenomenon that always arises based on conditions, i.e., it is dependently originated, and it also never arises by itself, but is always found in relationship with the other four aggregates of personality. Likewise, it is also said to be mutually dependent on and arise together with name and form. Okay, we're getting a little bit into the weeds here. But, okay. So we can say that there's this sort of, between Dhamma theory and analysis of mind, there's this strong kind of look at human psychology and consciousness and what these are and how these were understood by Buddhists at this time, who spent a lot of their time meditating and sort of contemplating the thoughts and feelings that went on inside their mind and comparing notes with each other. In this Rupa, that seems to be matters of metaphysics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break from Wikipedia for a moment. There was a page called Lines Raw, which has a great Buddhist A to Z. I just want to see what it says about Buddhism by the numbers. Let's go A, or you can go down here. Oh, T, Buddhism by the numbers. Yeah, okay, so just a side note, all of those lists, a lot of them are here. The 5 powers, the 5 precepts, the 5 recollections, the 5 skandhas, 6 transcendent perfections, 6 realms, 8 consciousnesses, 8 worldly concerns, 12 nidanas. That's only the tip of the iceberg. But if we go to the Abhidhamma here, and it'll give us a brief sort of overview again. The Abhidhamma is a collection of Buddhist teachings primarily studied by monastic scholars and serious practitioners seeking a detailed understanding of the mind. Okay, so I'm just going to skim through this and see if there's anything to do with the 3 baskets. Okay, so the Abhidhamma is a collection of teachings or suttas that essentially form Buddhism's map of the mind. So if you may know, I've been trying to sort of talk about Abhidhamma here as separate topics. No, but it's all about the mind. It's all about the mind. Even this, I'm guessing the sort of metaphysical views of the world are probably reflected in a kind of idealism where it is a consequence. What we see and experience is a consequence of the mind. That's just my guess. It might be more detailed than that. All right. So it is the 3rd section of the Pali Canon, the Tripitaka, body of scriptures, all right. So I'm getting a bit tripped up here, but yeah. So the Abhidhamma it's the 3rd basket. It's the 3rd basket, and here's a good page on it. It is the systematic philosophy section of the 3 baskets within the canon, representing the earliest compilation of Buddhist philosophy and psychology, detailing Buddhist doctrines about the nature of reality and mind. And once again, if we look at these topics, that's what it's talking about. It also contains the Vinaya Pitaka, the Pali Canon, and Sutta Pitaka. Those are the other two baskets. Alright, so here, made up of 7 books, the Abhidhamma teachings explore various aspects of human experience, including the nature of consciousness, universal mental factors, the cultivation of mindfulness, elements of existence, and the processes that shape individual and collective experiences. According to tradition, the Abhidhamma was formulated by the Buddha in the 4th week following his enlightenment. So I might even copy and paste that in here. So what texts are contained in the Abhidhamma? So the claim here, it's made up of 7 books. I don't know what they are. I'm going to have a look. Plus those books may be compilations of other writings. That's my feeling there. Okay, so yeah, there's some additional topics. We got, so the nature of consciousness, universal mental factors, cultivation of mindfulness, elements of existence. But it all has a relationship to the mind, which is why mind is such a important part of Buddhist scholarship. You'll find amazing psychological theories. Some of them are bewilderingly complex, and if you look at modern psychology, and by that I mean probably any psychology that came after Sigmund Freud, you're going to find a lot that is either at odds or just plain bizarre. And I'll show you what I mean at some point, but yeah, right now I'll get back on track. Where is it? As Bhikkhu Bodhi writes in Abhidhamma Dissects the Mind, behind its complexity of lists and analyses, the Abhidhamma offers us 3 simple overarching guidelines: abstaining from all evil, developing the wholesome, and purifying one's own mind. This is the Buddha's instruction. Okay, so I'm going to pop this in here. And we've got to say, this comes from Bhikkhu Bodhi. If you don't know who Bhikkhu Bodhi is it H-O-D-I? Is that right? No, H-I. Right, he is an American monk. His name was Jeffrey Block. Yep, this fella here. He's written a lot of books. So, Bhikkhu Bodhi. So is it Bhikkhu? So, I'm missing an H. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, yep. And I think maybe he's done some writing for Lions Roar. I have a book of his I haven't read yet. It's one that I'm planning to get to. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh God, there's a lot there. Is it The Buddha and His Message, The Buddha and His Dhamma, The Noble Eightfold Pathway to the End of Suffering? There's a lot there. So, yeah, that's his statement. That's his interpretation of what the Abhidhamma means. Abstaining from all evil, developing the wholesome, and purifying one's own mind. This is the Buddha's instruction. And I'd like to come back to this term wholesome, because it has a special relevance in Buddhism. Wholesome and unwholesome states of being are a pretty major thing here. And I think it is, let's look up right effort. So if I've got this right, actually I'll just have a look at the AI here. Right effort, a key part of the Buddhist Noble Eightfold Path, is the skillful and balanced energy to cultivate wholesome mental states like kindness, mindfulness, and abandon unwholesome ones like greed, anger, focusing on preventing harm, removing existing negativity, developing good qualities and perfecting them, all without overexertion, like tuning a string instrument to the middle way for true happiness. So there's a few sort of resources that links to there. But yeah, this is my understanding of right effort. And yeah, it's that word, wholesome. Even if I look up right effort, there is a Wikipedia page. I think there's a diagram here. And, okay. So, yeah, I don't know if this is where right effort links to on the Eightfold Path page, but this is one of the lists. And, yeah, it's what we call the 4 right exertions. Right. So are an integral part. So the 4 right exertions are an integral part of the Buddhist path to enlightenment, understanding. Built on the insightful recognition of the arising and non-arising of various mental qualities over time, and of our ability to mindfully intervene in these ephemeral qualities. The 4 right exertions encourage the relinquishment of harmful mental qualities and the nurturing of beneficial mental qualities. And this often gets translated as wholesome and unwholesome. Alright, so if an unwholesome state of mind is unarisen, it is our job to prevent it. If an unwholesome state of mind is arisen, it is our job to abandon it. And if it's a wholesome state of mind and it's unarisen, we must arouse it. And so that's a bit of a funny choice of word, but yeah, we want to bring it into being. So we want to arouse that state of being. And yeah, if it's arisen, we maintain. And look, this is very simple sort of stuff. I think a lot of people intuitively get this, but I found this all really helpful for me. Just the fact that if I'm in a state of being, and a lot of it is psychological, if I take the sort of Buddhist picture of it, yeah, it's all flowing from the mind. And it's my job to move from an unwholesome state of mind to a wholesome one. And how do we do that? We follow the Eightfold Path. We look at the 5 hindrances and we try to unshackle ourselves from those. We look at the 7 factors of awakening. We try to arouse those. So, yeah, we try to bring that into being. But, yeah, I absolutely love this part of Buddhism. This is something that has influenced me a lot over the years. I've put this into practice, and yeah, if I just go moment to moment thinking, how can I move from an unwholesome state of mind? I recognize it. I don't want it. What can I do to move from that to a wholesome one? And there's usually something I can do, if not to completely fix the situation, I can improve it. So let's close that. Alright, so this is a pretty good article. I like this article. It's teaching me quite a lot about the Abhidhamma. Features of the Abhidhamma. Detailed analysis. I'll just look at the headings first. Systematic approach. Psychological emphasis. Practical applications. Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to read through all of these. I might come back to it, but let's have a look. The Abhidhamma in Advanced Buddhist Study and Practice. It's primarily studied and practiced by monastics, scholars, and serious practitioners seeking a detailed understanding of Buddhist teachings and the Buddhist view of mind. Within Theravada monastic communities, the study of Abhidhamma can play a key role in the training of monks and nuns, providing them with a comprehensive understanding of the Dharma that can be useful for resolving doctrinal questions and clarifying points of practice. So try to understand that There's one thing that sort of busts the stereotype that Buddhists are just all about meditation. It is this. There is a strong sort of scholastic tradition. There are scholars who sort of pore over this stuff, and I think the sort of tendency in Buddhism is that we want to sort of discourage spending too much time inside of the mind in terms of words and concepts, and sort of just some of the pitfalls that can come from trying to accumulate knowledge. For this reason, some branches of Buddhism strongly emphasize meditation. But but there are others, I think, such as the Theravada tradition, where it is very important to do scholarly analysis. And normally this is about the practice. This is about what is most important, and sort of clarifying and understanding it and working through, I guess, points of contention, because sort of as you do more advanced scholarship, as you sort of move through the basic stuff, you'll learn that most of the high level stuff is about what is disputed, and sort of people making the best case over those. So, yeah. So what I might do now is, that was a really good article. I like Lions Roar a lot. It is a subscription magazine, but I think I might pay for that subscription sometime. But I think as far as the Buddhism A to Z page goes, that's all free to access, as far as I know. So, and that's great. I love that. So let's close that. Move that one over there, and then close that, because there is this big sort of bar up the top of my screen that you cannot see, which has all the controls for the video capture on it. It makes messing about with tabs rather difficult. Alright, so yeah, the Abhidhamma Pitaka, the third basket of the Tripitaka canon, the reorganisation of all doctrines in a systematic way. If we were to sort of recap some of the stuff that we've done, yeah, we look here, the Abhidhamma Pitaka, it's the third, or at least one of the baskets. These were real baskets that have manuscripts placed into them. Some of the topics this goes over, sort of the Wikipedia page says Dhamma theory, analysis of mind, Rupa, but also the Lions Roar article, made up of 7 books, the Abhidhamma teachings explore various aspects of human experience, including the nature of consciousness, universal mental factors, the cultivation of mindfulness, elements of existence, and the processes that shape individual and collective experiences. All right, and additionally, Bhikkhu Bodhi says that, these detail sort of one of the, I guess, the ethical imperatives of Buddhism, which are abstaining from all evil, developing the wholesome, and purifying one's mind. This is the Buddha's instruction. So I'm going to go through my list of questions here. What are women in the Sangha formally called? Monks, nuns, and I think even if I just Google this, I'll probably find an answer right away. Okay. Alright, so women in the Buddhist monastic communities, Sangha, this is the AI answer, so you've got to always take this with a grain of salt. Make sure you always click on the references and read those and make sure that's correct. Women in the Buddhist monastic communities, Sangha, who are fully ordained, are formally called Bhikkhunis, Pali, or Bhikkhunis in Sanskrit. The term literally means female beggar, or one who subsists on alms, referring to their way of life. Okay, so let's have a look here. We've got a whole page for this. I might open a couple of resources. There's study.com again. I don't think that one's going to let me in. No, it's working now. Okay, that's interesting. So let's have a look. What was that? Bhikkhuni. And look at this. Here we go. We've got some female Buddhists over here. All right. So, yep, they're at temple. Not sure what they're holding there, but there is some sort of ritual happening. They've all got their heads shaved. Are all of these women? I think there's some men in this picture, but it's hard to say. Let's go. Yeah, that one. So let's move to. All right. So close that one. A bhikkhuni is a fully ordained Buddhist nun. Okay. So that word nun is back. Let's have a look at the page for nun. I want to see, because I always thought that was a sort of Christian concept. I don't know very much about nuns. A nun is a woman who vows to dedicate her life to religious service and contemplation, typically living under vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience in the enclosure of a monastery or convent. The term is used interchangeably with religious sisters who do take simple vows, but live in an active vocation of prayer and charitable work in the wider society. So in Christianity, nuns are found in many denominations here. In the Buddhist tradition, female monastics are known as bhikkhuni and take several additional vows compared to male monastics by virtue of them being female, I believe. So nuns are most common in Mahayana Buddhism. So it looks like you can use that term nun. I'm actually going to ask, can I use the term nun for any woman who practices religion? I don't know if that's a good sentence, but we will see. And all right, so look, even here it says the word has a very specific meaning within the context of Christian faith traditions, particularly those with monastic orders, and is not a general description for all religious women. Okay, so what's that linking to? Unacademy, I don't know what that is. US Catholic, Britannica. Okay, I think I can use this as a prompt. All right, so yeah. Christian faith traditions, that's generally where you would use the word nun. But also monastic orders. And what is a Sangha in this context other than, it's a monastic order. So if we've got a practitioner, if we have a female practitioner in a monastic order, the term nun should be fine. But I'm just wondering, I feel like I should avoid using it. I don't know. Maybe perhaps this is one of those things we use out of convenience. Do they call themselves nuns? I don't know. But what we know, they're called bhikkhuni. So we've got bhikkhus, that's the male monks, and then we got bhikkhunis, who are female monastics. Okay. So, have I answered my question? What was my question? What are women in the Sangha formally called? Monks, nuns. And I'm gonna write bhikkhuni. Bhikkhuni. Nuns seems to be acceptable, but I think is best used in a Christian context. So what texts are contained in the Abhidhamma? Let's Google that. Definitive collection of scriptures in the Theravada Buddhism. So 7 main texts or books, and I'm sure this is all on the Wikipedia page if I go to it. So let's type in the books. Okay, so Yeah, it's a bit of a wall of text on this page here. Satisakas. Yeah. So is it in here anywhere? Don't think it is. Don't think it is. It might be in there, but I think it might be best if I just go to this. Where is this getting its information from? Yeah, once again, the same page we're looking at. So let's try, because there's a bewildering amount of text there. I'm just going to close some tabs. Bhikkhuni, none. Okay, so let's go back to this. Alright, let's just see what we got here. Patana. So what is it? The Patana? Okay. It doesn't seem to be providing a list, which is interesting. Let's try the Yamaka. So, Madhyamaka. So, I think maybe, I've got a feeling this is going to be important to one of my next questions. So I'm glad I found that. Yeah, this page doesn't seem to have the list. This page doesn't seem to have the list. So maybe that's something that needs to be updated on this page. So they're all in here, it seems, and there's a few here, but it's just talking, it's not listing them, it's putting them in different categories that, what is this section here? So background and sources, it mentions them, but it doesn't list them. That's interesting. Why didn't they put that in there? It's like a very basic thing that we tend to do on these pages. Is it on the Abhidhamma page? It might be. Okay. So what's this? Alright, here's a note. There are different types of Abhidhamma literature. The early canonical Abhidhamma works, such as Pali Abhidhamma Pitaka, are not philosophical treatises, but mainly summaries and expositions of early Buddhist doctrinal lists with their accompanying explanations. These texts developed out of early Buddhist lists or matrices of key teachings. So, alright. So, yeah, we're getting in the weeds a little bit here, but there are different types of Abhidhamma literature. I don't think this 7 I'm looking for is important to Theravada. Once again, it doesn't seem to have a list, at least not what I'm looking for. And it doesn't have to be on Wikipedia to be valid. In fact, we should take everything we read on Wikipedia as a grain of salt. I'm trying to sort of diversify my research here by using other sources. But, yeah. So these are all listed here. The 7 books. So Access to Insight is another Buddhist. Okay, here we go. The 7 books. Let's have a look. The Abhidhamma Pitaka, the Basket of Abhidhamma. Okay, awesome. So the 7 books. The Abhidhamma Pitaka is divided into 7 books, although it is the first Dhammasangani and the last. Yeah, okay. So it lists them here. Shall I read through each one? Give them. And is this the same as the list here? Pafana, Yamaka, Kaphavatu. Pafana, Yamaka, Kaphavatu. Okay, so it seems to be getting this from this website here, and this is what we're looking for. So the Dhammasangani enumeration of phenomena. It enumerates all of the Paramatha Dhamma, ultimate realities to be found in the world. According to one such enumeration, these amount to 52 Cetasikas, mental factors, which arising together in various combination give rise to 89 different possible citas, states of consciousness, 4 primary physical elements, and 23 physical phenomena derived from them. So yeah, that's a lot there. That's a lot. English translation, that's about the books that you can find this in. So, all right, so I'm going to read very briefly for each one, and then I'll pop this in here. What texts are contained in the Abhidhamma? So I'll remove that one. Made up of 7 books, yes. Dhammasangani, enumeration of phenomena. Vibhanga, the book of treatises. The book continues the analysis of the Dhammasangani here in the form of a catechism. I think that's how you pronounce that. What is a catechism? I need a refresher on that. Okay, catechism, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, a summary of the principles of Christian religion in the form of questions and answers, a Q&A sort of format. Okay, in the form of a catechism. So, yeah, maybe, okay. I don't know if it's taking inspiration from sort of Christian ways of doing things, but, or maybe just the Q&A form is a very natural and common one to take. Then we got the Dhatu Kapha, discussion with reference to the elements, a reiteration of the foregoing in the form of questions and answers. So is that related to the Book of Treatises? I think it might be. So 3, no. So copy that. Then we got 4. What do we got? The Pagalapanati. The Pagalapanati, description of individuals. Somewhat out of place in the Abhidhamma Pitaka, this book contains descriptions of a number of personality types. Okay, I'm wondering then if that's sort of getting into archetypes in the Jungian sense. Maybe different kinds of people, not necessarily different kinds of mythological symbols that we see in people. I don't know if that's a good description of Jung. But yeah, description of individuals. Okay, that's interesting. That one interests me. I'd like to learn more about that one. Kaffavatu, points of controversy. Another odd inclusion in the Abhidhamma. The book contains questions and answers that were compiled by Moggalaputta Tissa in the 3rd century BCE in order to help clarify points of controversy that existed between the various Hinayana schools of Buddhism at the time. Okay, so yeah, advanced scholarly stuff where they're sort of getting in the weeds and arguing about the fundamentals of everything. Yamaka, the Book of Pairs. This book is a logical analysis of many concepts presented in the earlier books. In the words of Mrs. Rhys Davis, an eminent 20th century Pali scholar, the 10 chapters of the Yamaka amount to little more than 10 valleys of dry bones. Okay, that doesn't sound like a glowing review. So Yamaka, the Book of Pairs. So, but what does she mean that? 10 valleys of dry bones. Does she just mean it's not worth anyone's time? I don't know. Patana, the Book of Relations. This book, by far the longest single volume in the Tipitaka, over 6,000 pages in the Siamese edition, describes the 24 Pakayas, or laws of conditionality, through which the Dhammas interact. These laws, when applied in every possible permutation with the Dhammas described in the Dhammasangani, give rise to all knowable experience. So that sounds more like this. That sounds more like the Dhamma theory, analysis of mind, and the Rupa, matter sections. So yeah, there you go. All right, I found them. And not only did I find them, I found this wonderful page here with a little bit of a commentary on each one. So, do I need to read through these? I kind of doubt it, but it's good to know what's in them, or at least, yeah, there's some pointers here. There's some pointers here if I want to learn more about the Abhidhamma. So, the things here that the books here that interest me most are the description of individuals, and I got well. Actually, I got to say that's the main one that interests me. They all, yeah. I would like to sort of go through these one day. The sort of all of the stuff about Buddhist metaphysics and psychology does interest me, but I find it's very complex and it's very. I think a lot of it probably would not withstand the scrutiny of what we know about psychology nowadays. But who knows? There might be uncommon insights in there. There might be things that we are missing from psychology today that would benefit us if we were to read the Abhidhamma. Okay, question 3. And maybe I'll hit enter here just to get these up a bit. Which schools use the Abhidhamma? And I found this here. Part of a series on Buddhist philosophy. And it connects directly to the Abhidhamma. It lists a bunch of traditions. Now, are they here because they are strong Abhidhamma traditions? That's what I want to know. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm going to search the word Abhidhamma, or maybe even just Abhidha, because the R and the M are going to give me different results when I search. The Abhidhamma movement as an analytic approach to Dhamma in general. What are we looking at here? So, alright, so yeah, clearly the Abhidhamma is important to Vibhajyavada. So, let's try the next one. We've already done the Theravada Abhidhamma. Vaibhasika. Ancient Buddhist tradition, very influential in North India. Okay, so it influenced later forms of the Abhidhamma. So, yeah, so we can say that the Abhidhamma is practiced by all these, or has been expanded and, commented upon. So, the Buddha would have been commented upon. But, okay. So, sort of bringing it back, Sort Rantika, let's say, Abhidhamma. What's this? Stated by the commentator Yasamitra, they hold the sutras, but not the Abhidhamma commentaries as authoritative. Okay, and I've come across this page before. This, what are they? They are early Buddhist school. Where were they located? North India? Yeah. So, yeah, this looks like an example of a school who did not use the Abhidhamma commentaries, or at least did not give them the same weight of authority. So I'll go deeper into that one day. Pajyalavada. That was a Buddhist philosophical view, and also refers to a group of Nikaya Buddhist schools. Okay, so Abhidha, yeah. The school had a Tripitaka with Sutra Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, and Abhidhamma Pitakas. So they use it as well. And yeah, one of the early Buddhist schools in India. So once again, it's not giving me much about the Abhidhamma, but it does say it's part of the philosophy. So I think it's fair to say that, where was it? The Abhidhamma page here. Yeah, that a lot of these, and I've lost it, but there was a big list of schools there that all seem to sort of use the Abhidhamma. I haven't got a sort of conclusive thing here about which schools use it, but I can just say many. And it seems that some, oh, there it is. It was the same page. Where is it? Doctrine. Okay. Yeah, it seems that some don't use it as much as others, and I think it was the Sautrantika who hold the sutras, but not the Abhidhamma commentaries as authoritative. So, yeah, that's interesting. So we'll close that. I like this page. I actually like access to insight.org. This is a good site I've ended up on a few times. Have I already bookmarked it? I don't think I have, so I'll bookmark it now. Alright, so many. What are the 52 Setasika? I'm having trouble pronouncing that, but that's okay. Let's have a look. The 52 mental factors, 52 kinds of mental states. Yeah. All right. What do we got here? Okay, we've got a fabulous diagram. The 52 mental factors. We've got, I guess, they're all numbered. So we've got a few categories up here. Universals, occasionals, universals. So again, but that's in the unwholesome category. Then there's a beautiful category. Is that meant to be wholesome? I don't know, because we know there's a distinction between unwholesome and wholesome states of being in Buddhism. But yeah, so greed group, hatred group, others, universals, abstinences, limitless, and wisdom. There's a lot of universals here. So let's have a look here. Maybe we'll just have a read of some of these features and what are the 52 mental factors. Okay, so that is, yeah. So I think that's from that book there, A Manual of Abhidhamma. There's a whole book there that might be worth reading. And we got some sort of untranslated stuff here. What is it? These universal Setasikas are variably found in every consciousness. These are the universals. Okay, particulars. Unlike the universals, these Setasikas are found only in certain classes of consciousness. Okay, so it seems to be making a distinction between different types of people who have different types of psychologies, if that's what they mean by classes of consciousness. Immorals. Yeah, so these are all sort of negative personality traits and emotions. Immorals, beautiful. All right. So yeah, this is a very ancient sort of way of thinking about how our mind works, and it's very interesting. Just even here, someone's tried to map it out. They've tried to map this 52 mental factors out, and it's bewildering. But I'm sure if you go through it, you'll find some stuff that is quite relevant. Let's have a look over here. Universal mental factors: contact, feeling, perception, intention, one-pointedness, life faculty, attention. So I'm sure if I got definitions for each one of those that it would make more sense. But as far as I know, one-pointedness means something like ability to focus. Then we got perception, feeling, contact. Is that the sense of touch? Or I'm not sure. So these are things that all humans share by the sounds of it. Occasional mental factors, what some, and I don't know if I should use the word humans, classes of consciousnesses share. Initial thought, sustained thought, determination, energy, rapture, wish. Okay. So then we got unwholesome mental factors. And this is stuff where I think we can start to agree with some things. Delusion, shamelessness, moral fearlessness, restlessness, greed, wrong view, conceit, hatred, envy, stinginess, worry, remorse, sloth, laziness, torpor, tiredness, skeptical doubt. Okay, I'd say nearly all of those are uncontroversial as far as unwholesome mental factors go. But I guess skeptical doubt is one I'm not so sure about. That seems to be a good thing. It even seems to be something the Buddha engages in. But I'll move on. Beautiful mental factors. Confidence, mindfulness, moral shame, moral fear, non-greed, non-hatred, equanimity, tranquility of mental factors, tranquility of consciousness, lightness of mental factors, lightness of consciousness, pliancy of mental factors, pliancy of consciousness, adaptability of mental factors. So, yeah, they're all pointing to a sort of common category here, I think. It's very complicated. Adaptability, proficiency, rectitude. These sound familiar. Right speech, right action, right livelihood. These are parts of the Eightfold Path. Compassion, sympathetic joy, wisdom, faculty. Okay, so if we were to talk to a modern day psychologist and ask how relevant are the 52 mental factors today to the sort of discipline of psychology, and I bet they would probably tell you it's not very good, or at least there's things in it that are true, but we know so much more about how the brain works now. This doesn't tell us anything about sort of the unconscious. The subconscious is probably the best way to put it. This doesn't tell us anything about neurodivergence. But I don't know, maybe you could read those things in here. If we're talking about occasional mental factors, maybe we can think about different kinds of minds, because they're talking about different classes of consciousness, and I don't follow. And I think even if I read the text, I probably would not follow. If we're talking about the brain and how it works, cognitive bias, for example, this does not really account for that. I guess, but yeah, what other uncontroversial things are there in psychology now? Probably not a lot. I think just about everything can be contested. But yeah, this is one theory of mind. And I guess taking a look at that probably gives you an idea of what a Buddhist psychology is like. I don't think everybody would sign up to the 52 mental factors. I'm sure some people would look at this and write their own list, because they look inside their mind and they see something more akin to an ego and a superego and an id, which Carl, I think, was it Freud? Is that just psychoanalysis in general? I think uses that formation. But yeah, I need a refresher on psychology. But yeah, this is an example of one of the many Buddhist lists and sort of the amazing amount of detail in which Buddhists sort of talk about their own psychology. So what are the 52 cetasika? So we know it's like, how should we put this? It is sort of, yeah, we'll just write 52 mental factors. It's a sort of list that tries to explain human psychology, or at least, I don't know, consciousness. Because if we just look at consciousness, something we're experiencing at any moment, then maybe there is room to talk about things like cognitive bias or ego, or maybe that's in here and I just haven't picked it up. But that's really interesting. Okay, so yeah, now that I've answered all my questions, I'll probably leave it there. we'll go back to the glossary for a moment. So the next one, will be this, the sutra on going forth. And there's going to be articles that are stubs, and sort of a stub in Wikipedia is either a short page or maybe even a sort of topic that doesn't have much information about it online. If I can't find anything about this, I'll probably move on to the next one. But I look forward to finding out, and I'm getting a lot out of just looking. And yeah, I would like to thank you if you've listened to the whole stream, and if you like what I'm doing. I have some playlists. I've got one for my research streams, and I have one for my close reading series. So, thank you.